all about getting out and learning what the outdoors is. Basic tips for going game shooting for the coming game season. The other thing you want to be thinking about is what you wear. Now, I like to wear breeks because it's nice and traditional. If you've got proper wellies, you have breeks on, you have your tweed waistcoat. If you paid that amount of money for a nice day's game shooting, it's nice to dress up and do it traditionally. What sort of slips? So again, you can have a cheap slip or you can have a lovely leather slip to go with your gun. It protects it a little bit more. Remember, when that gun goes into the slip, it's gone in, it's closed, it's there. When it comes out, it's open and it comes out like that. You always carry that gun that way up because that's solid, that. You never carry the gun like that. Because if you've got a nice expensive gun, that's it, breaks. That is about the basic. Remember also, if you're going game shooting, I know you have to have it when you go clay shooting, but join one of the organisations. BASC is probably the best organisation as a whole to join because they will cover you for going out game shooting, they'll cover you for clay shooting. So give the BASC a call or go online and join them before. 75 quid, 79 quid for a year. It's well worth it. If you have an accident, if you have a problem with your gun, you're covered, basically. Get to the old day in the morning. So I'm just going to go through a couple of tips of what you do when you get onto that peg for when you go there. So you've got into your peg, you've booked your day shooting. First thing you need to do is you get yourself a nice little game bag and you've got your waistcoat like this and you put the cartridges in there. First thing I would say is if you shake those cartridges, in the height of the moment, kind of the cartridges all over. So if you do that, makes the brass come up so you can stuff into your gun a lot easier. So I'm going to pick my gun up. I'm going to pick my over and under to start with. So I'm on my peg. My birds are going to be coming off the hill behind those trees. So the first thing I look at is I look where my beaters and my picker-uppers are. So my picker-uppers are behind me, my beaters are in front of me. And I think to myself, right, where those picker-uppers are. Remember, those picker-uppers actually probably know more about that shoot than the gun does. So if those picker-uppers are stood behind you, generally that means you're in a hot spot because they're always going to stand where the best pegs are. So if you look where the picker-uppers are. Now I always say, unless you're shooting grouse or fast partridges, I tend to think if you can't hit the birds there, you shouldn't turn round and do that. Because you wouldn't want somebody shooting over your head. And those picker-uppers are there to look after the day as well. They're as much important in the day as you are. So if you can't shoot a bird, especially a pheasant, at a 45-degree angle, you need to go and see why you can't do that. So you know where your fellow gun is, and your other fellow gun will be 50 yards down there. So you need to pick halfway between you and him or her, halfway between. And then you draw a line up there. So that is your kill zone. Now, if you do have a pheasant that you could be yours, could be theirs, if you don't know that person, it's polite just to let them have it. The beaters. So the beaters, there's a hill behind this hedge. The beaters are going to be on top of that hill. Generally, the beaters will start miles away and draw in to you. And the most important thing is you close that gun there. Now, if I pull that trigger, it's perfectly safe. If I pull that trigger there, you don't know what's the other side of that hedge. So think to yourself where you're closing that gun up. So then I'll put 2 cartridges in my gun. At the moment, I'll just stand with my peg there and I'll look around and I'll see when the beaters are going to start slowly. When you get on that peg, it may start quite quickly, but it may be quite a long time, maybe 10 minutes before you get a bird. But you'll see the birds kind of flittering in the distance. And that's when you see those birds, you close that gun up there. And that's when I will always hold my gun like that. That's the most safest way. Like that, it's not particularly good because, okay, I've got my safety catch on. But if I close there, the only thing that's stopping me from shooting someone is that safety catch. So personally, if you've got a dog, you walk around, you don't know, you might go like that, it might do. So why don't you just close it there? If I pull the trigger there, it's perfectly safe. Absolutely perfectly safe. Hold it like that, and then you hold it there until you look at those birds. And then you might wait a little bit. So I've shot a couple now, and you might stand like that for a little bit longer, because you might know. So always keep your eyes forward. And then when something comes in the distance, so I won't necessarily mount my gun when I first see that bird out there. And this is what you see a lot on the shooting school, is a lot of people, when you go out game shooting, a lot of people want to mount that gun right out there. As soon as they see a bird, track it, and then shoot it. But when that bird gets up, that bird could go to him, that bird could go to you. So if you see that bird, just put your gun into the line of view. And then if that does come to you, then you're ready. That might go to him and you think, oh, I'll leave that to him. So if that does come in your line of view, shoot it. I don't have my gun right down here, I move it to about there. And that's really your basic tips of what you do. When you finish the peg, the drive will be finished by a horn. You finish up, and the first thing you do, okay, if you've never shot a bird before, you might want to go and pick your first bird up. But it's not all about picking the birds up, because those picker-uppers are not there for the money. They're there to let their dogs pick up the bird. So don't necessarily run off and pick up the birds, because those dogs are there. They want to do that. That's what they've bought their dogs for. So let them pick a few up. First thing you need to do is clear up the cartridges on your peg in your pocket. And then generally, your cartridges on the beater's wagon or on the gun bus, there will be a box so you can put all your empties in. If you've got a nice side-by-side, and you don't put cannon shells through it. So if you want to shoot real high pheasants, and you want to shoot 34-gram 3s or 4s, put them through your Browning or your Beretta. Remember, at the end of the day, tipping the keeper. If you've had a fantastic day, you go and you tip the gamekeeper. And remember, it used to be £10 per 100 when you tip a gamekeeper. Really, it's now got to be £20 per 100. So if you're on a 150 bird day, when you're tipping that gamekeeper, you need to be thinking 30 quid, minimum 40 quid. Look after them. If you look after people, they'll look after you in the long run. Any questions on this basic tips for game shooting? Please comment below on the YouTube channel, on the film. Anything you want, please let me know and we'll go from there. Thank you for watching. Please like and subscribe. Please share to your friends and have a look at what other films we've done. And it's all there to try and encourage you to get into shooting this great sport.